Okay, good evening. We are live. This is Attorney Vincent Davis, and this is The Secret: How to Fight CPS and Win. And I'm joined by my co host this evening, Mr. G, Mr. Darren Guy. How are you, Darren?
I'm all right, Mr. D on this 4th of July.
And I see we have a very special guest, Miss Melanie. Melanie, how are you this evening?
I'm very well, thank you. And if you don't mind, I'm hard of hearing, so if you both can speak up a little bit. I have hearing aids, so I just want to make sure I cannot hear you. Okay.
Okay, very good. Not a problem. So, Melanie, where are you calling us from?
Minnesota.
Oh, Minnesota. You know, there's a guy in Minnesota that's very active in fighting CPS. Have you heard of him? I forget his name, but he's been very successful. He's active. He's kind of tall, African American guy. I think he got his kids back. You know who I'm talking about? No? Okay. Anyway, so what's going on with you and CPS in Minnesota?
Well, in 2007, I divorced my ex-husband because he was very abusive to my boys and me. And I'm gonna go back a little bit. The reason why I divorced was because of the abuse and everything, to get out of the situation and heal and move on, but also because there was a threat from this county that they would remove the children from us if neither one of us didn't do anything to keep the boys out of the middle, meaning the middle as in this abuse between with by my ex-husband and all the police calls. And I was an at-home mom, and I didn't know what to do. I was starting to stress because I had no money to retain an attorney, and I was trying to see what to do about getting legal aid help, uh, not only for the divorce, but for everything since then. And what's a single mom, at home mom, supposed to do when they get threatened like that? you know? So I took everything, to heart, and I just couldn't keep the boys and myself in this situation anymore. And it was pretty scary for me because of being with my ex-husband. His behaviors didn't change. He I did a lot of self-educating as well. Um, so just there were a lot of things with him that were not normal. And it scared me going into this divorce thing now with my boys because I knew what he was gonna do, and manipulated the judge, and it was actually 16 plus years of worse nightmare and worse abuse and worse neglect since then. It's been really hard on me because I'm a documenter, and I literally have a Facebook Live from when they kidnapped my boys the second time on my front yard, with my whole front yard full of officers and two CPS workers, a guardian ad litem. Like, my boys haven't been traumatized enough. This is just aiding and abetting my ex and caused trauma on my boys and me, and caused for them because they knew that I was the one taking care of them. I knew my oldest son's medical issues, and they were frightened big time. And what really hurt was that obviously I was being watched by the senior investigator, because not only I just had gotten to a store and I was getting texts from two of my boys, the cops are here, the cops are here. I'm like, why? How? What's going on? Because I'm not doing anything wrong. And I come down the street, and sure enough, that's when I saw like my boys being traumatized, and it hurt so bad. I'm like, how? And they were coming in and out of my house. I'm like, how are you in my house when I'm not there? I just went down the street to the store to get something. So if they're not old enough to be able to make that choice of being with mom or dad, how are they old enough to understand how to defend themselves when these law enforcement people that we're supposed to trust come barging past you saying, well, it doesn't matter if your mom's not here. I have a warrant. And they put it on a counter in the house without, and me as the homeowner there. And it was so frustrating for me because they did it twice. They kidnapped him twice. And I'm the one that ended up having visitations, and the senior investigator targeted me to about house conditions. I'm like, I'm an at-home mom. What am I supposed to do? I'm trying to get myself back in the workforce. I'm trying to be a single mom now with the 3 boys. I'm trying to go to therapy for all 4 of us. I'm trying to get them into activities. I'm a martial artist, so I think that's what scared them when they saw I'm a 12-time grand champion, so I've got all these trophies in my house. That's probably why they have my whole front yard full of people. Um, but it did so much damage, more damage to my boys. And I have a lot of documentation, big time, of missed meds in the care of my ex-husband with my boys. My oldest one has um, life-threatening medical issues, so I have documentation of like 9+ years of missed meds in his care, but the county does nothing. I have pictures of marks on my kids, but the county does nothing. I have documentation from our professionals of uh, child abuse by father, medical neglect by parent, with my ex-husband, and they do nothing. But yet I'm the one that has to go to the 4th floor at the medical center because they think I have mental health issues, and I'm dependent on alcohol. Whatever they could come up with to get the kids away from me. And now I'm still be not able to sleep at night knowing the fact that they continue to violate my ADA. Like I said, I have a learning disability, auditory dyslexia. I am hard of hearing. I have a son that's got medical issues. So they, of course, targeted us with the multiple kids and all these disabilities, and me not knowing how to defend myself. And I knew what was gonna happen if I even dared try to protect my family like I have a constitutional right to protect and defend myself and my family in my own home. I knew what was gonna happen because they target me, and they would have arrested me for assault and taken me to jail, and I didn't need that. So I was kind of at a loss as to what to do. So this has gone on for 16+ years. Now my boys are aged out, and I divorced when they were 4, 6, and 7 years old, and now they're young adults. So how am I supposed to teach my children how to respect people when I'm disrespected? How am I supposed to teach my children about responsibility when I send my boys to their father that continues to miss medications and almost cause my son to lose his life and cause my son to be suicidal? It was so contradicting. And to make things worse, my ex-husband's attorney just so happens to be our sitting judge's wife, and she goes by her maiden name to fool people that they're not married. Not my divorce judge, but our sitting judge. So there's just so much. I mean, I may have a learning disability, but I'm not stupid when it comes to catching on that there's some problem here. And
Well, wait a minute.
I'm
Let
not
me
sure
let me
what
ask
to
you something,
do.
Melanie. Hold on, hold on,
And
hold on. Hold on. Did you say that your ex-husband's lawyer is the wife of the judge in your case?
Well, he our sitting judge is my ex-husband's attorney, and he actually signed one of my OFPs I tried to get on my ex and dismissed one of my OFPs that I didn't know anything about until I got the paperwork in the mail.
Okay, Melanie, before you tell me any more story, please answer my question directly, okay? Because I'm very confused. Is your ex-husband's attorney the wife of your judge in your case? Yes or no?
In my divorce case, no,
Okay. Who
but she's
is
just
who is your husband's attorney married to? Don't give me a name,
the
just give me a
sitting judge.
position. Okay, what does that mean, the sitting judge?
The main judge at the courthouse, and we
So
have another
the
judge that
judge,
a floating judge.
okay, so the main judge at the courthouse is kind of like the supervising judge. Is that what you mean?
I guess you call that. We have like three judges at the courthouse, and my judge that I had in a divorce floats from a few different counties.
What county are you in?
Brown,
Okay, that's a small county in Minnesota.
yeah. But
Yeah.
everything that I
So
would,
does your judge, I mean, is your judge supervised by the sitting judge?
do not know. I think they just, it depends. They kind of assign the judge to certain days. So I
Okay,
don't
well,
know if there's,
so you and your attorney may have been better off making a motion to change counties for your case because, the lady's married to a judge in the courthouse, right? And it's such a small
right.
county and not that many judges. You would hope that there would be no influence, but it's really the appearance of impropriety, not necessarily was there any impropriety. At least that's the standard here in California. I'm not sure what's going on in Minnesota. Did you have a lawyer in that case?
No, I've given up on trusting attorneys because the one that my parents retained throughout this last part of with my ex-husband trying to take the voice from me, she ended up suing me for $20,000 for her services because my parents couldn't retain her anymore. And she started doing my taxes and manipulated me into doing my taxes and started taking half my tax refund money and putting my money into her own account. And I said, I can't afford that. I'm supposed to be getting some kind of legal aid help or pro bono help. And because I told her I couldn't do this anymore, she went and sued me. And guess who the judge was? My attorney threw out all this divorce stuff, or the judge threw out all my divorce stuff. So it was the judge that I had, and then her on the other as the um petitioner, and then me as the defendant, trying to defend myself again against this attorney.
Wow, it seems like you're in such a small county. There are a lot of connections going on. You might want to talk to an attorney about transferring some or all of your cases to another county where there's not an appearance of impropriety. Okay?
Right. I actually
Okay.
tried to go to a different county, and they said that it's out of their jurisdiction. I have to stay in Brown County. And I tried to go
Well,
up to the
right.
chief judge.
See, here's the thing, and I talk to Mr. G and Miss G about this all the time. Sometimes you have the right idea, but you try to implement it the wrong way. In California, what you would have had to do is make some type of motion, probably a written motion supported by legal points and authorities and a declaration under penalty of perjury, to get the case transferred. You just can't go try to transfer it yourself, right? So you had the right idea, but maybe you tried to implement it the wrong way. What I would do is I would try to talk to an attorney somewhere in Minnesota, maybe Minneapolis. Maybe there's more lawyers there, and try to get a consultation regarding your problems and see how they can be fixed at this point in time. Now,
Right.
regarding your CPS involvement, is that case closed because your children are adults?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And how old are your children now?
20, 22, and 23.
Okay, so it's been closed for a while then.
Yes, sir.
When you agreed to be a guest this evening, were there some questions that you wanted to ask me, just generally
If
about your
it's,
CPS?
I actually do because I've been trying to handle all this alone with my dyslexia and everything, and it's been so hard on me because I feel like I've been trying to reach out to the right people and do the right thing and go up the ladder, and every time I try to go up the ladder alone, I keep getting knocked down again. And I've tried to go to the chief judge to remove my divorce judge, and he said, "Oh, he's not biased." Oh, I don't even know what the chief judge even saw because I have all the proof that he is biased.
Melanie, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. And I'm not trying to be facetious. I really would like your honest answer. Okay.
Mhm.
Let's assume that tomorrow you go to the doctor and the doctor tells you, hey, Melanie, you need open heart surgery. Are you going to go home and Google that and try to figure out how to do it yourself?
No.
Why? Because you'd end up dead on the table, right?
Right. Right.
Right? Okay. So
Right.
when it comes to legal cases, why are you trying to do the legal case yourself?
Because I haven't been able to afford and retain an attorney, and I haven't been able to successfully get a pro bono attorney or legal aid help.
In California, um, they don't have court-appointed attorneys for family law cases. The only person that can get an attorney appointed by the court is the minor, and in most of those cases, um, the parents have to pay back, that expense. So, you know, it's one of those things that you have to get your own attorney, and you have to somehow work that out. Now, I would suggest that you call around and try to find someone that's low cost and see if they can give you information on how to do the case. Doing it yourself, it's going to end up just like it's ended up, a complete disaster.
Mhm.
Don't try to do this at home by yourself. It's not going to work. Now, maybe, you and others watching this may think, well, it should work. You should be able to do your own legal case, but you don't have any expertise. I give this example all
Right.
the time. My mechanic told me, hey, Vince, you need a new transmission. Guess what I didn't do? I didn't go out and buy the parts and the book and the
Mhm.
supplies to do my own transmission. You know why? Because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. That's why. And I know I can't do it. Now, I should be able to do it. Maybe if you gave me 3 years, I could figure it out,
Mhm.
right? But I don't have 3 years. I need transportation.
Right.
And just like you don't have time. You need somebody to help you. And I think that you should focus on calling around and getting information from an attorney in your state that can tell you how to fix this problem. Now, it might cost you $50. It might cost you $200. I'm not sure, but the cost that you incur is going to be less than the costs you are incurring now. And You right now, you may not have thought of this, but you're incurring costs financially. You're losing money. You're incurring costs psychologically and emotionally because you can't figure out how to do this. You're spending hours of your time trying to figure out something that you'll never figure out, unfortunately. Just like you'll never figure out how to change my transmission. Just like you'll never figure out how to do open heart surgery. You just don't have the
Right.
experience and the training, right? So try to get that experience or get that information from an attorney. Don't necessarily use Google. Google's not always right, okay?
Right.
And sometimes there are things that you need to know that Google's not going to tell you, okay? Google's a good idea for learning what the issues could be, not for representing yourself. But a lot of people think, well, it's America and I should be able to represent myself. Does it ever work? Yes. Maybe one out of 1,000. But these cases are so important. I don't know if you want to risk your life and your children and your financial success and your mental stability on one out of 1,000. It's just a bad bet. Just a bad bet.
Right.
You know,
I guess
do you play?
why I
Do you?
keep being told to move on, but it's hard for me to move on when I know that my ex is still living in this town scot free and hurting more women and children, that he's got a pattern of really bad abuse and manipulation. And I guess I'm trying to stop that cycle and get accountability for what this county's done to us, and stop people like my ex-husband and hold them accountable for destroying my family. I mean, I'm always hearing how it's so easy for people to file lawsuits and federal lawsuits and stuff to stop what's going on. And that's, like, I guess what I'm trying to do so it doesn't continue. I'm trying to stop that pattern. And I
Well,
won't feel
Melanie, Melanie, hold on. It's not easy for people to
Mhm.
file federal lawsuits. Okay,
Mhm.
it's very hard to file a federal lawsuit. Okay, it's easy for me to say this. Hey, let's file a lawsuit. That was easy. You know what the hard part is? Actually
Mhm.
doing it, carrying through, and the harder part is winning. Okay, you can't just run out and file a federal lawsuit and expect they're going to get $1 million.
right,
It doesn't work like that. Doesn't work like that
right,
at all. There's a guy here in California who's one of the gurus of suing CPS. And a few years ago, he did a case against a social worker for a woman. And he turned down the woman 4 times before he took the case. He turned her down 4 times. He only took the case because I think, he never told me this, I think he just felt sorry for the lady, right? He took the case. In the end, he won. In the process, he almost went bankrupt and out of business. So when you say, oh, it's easy to file a federal lawsuit, no, it's not. And if you think that, you've been watching too many of these videos on the
Dragging it.
internet, because it's
Yeah.
really hard and it's a lot of work. It's not a car accident case.
Mm-mm.
It's not a car accident case at all. Car accident, a guy runs into the back of you at the traffic light. You get a lawyer, you sue him and his insurance company. Boom, they settle. It's over within less than a year,
Mhm.
right? That's not a civil rights lawsuit. This is much more complicated, much more involved. And, you know, I hate to say this because it sounds like, I may not be supporting your idea, but look, when you turn on the TV at night and you ever watch the news, do you ever see anything that's unfair? All the time. You can turn on the national news, you can turn on the local news. You're going to see things that are unfair. Now, Do you get up
Right.
and, want to sue everybody because of something's unfair? No, but everybody has limits. Limits in knowledge, limits in experience, limits in skill, limits in money. Money, okay? I don't know if you have the things that are needed to correct this problem that you see. And what I hate for you to see, which I see sometimes, is that this problem destroys you, you know, destroys you emotionally, financially. It consumes your life. Sometimes you focus on something and you could be doing something else that's much more productive. Your ex is your ex. Who's going to correct him? Karma and God will catch up with him. I
Mhm.
don't know if it's your job to do that.
Right. And one of the things that comes up too, like when I do try to move on, and just recently, the judge s- s- uses the IRS as a collection agency now. So, like a couple years ago, he filed something with them claiming that I owe $25 court-appointed attorney fee or whatever. And this was the date that was on it was like 6 or 7 years ago, before this pandemic and before all this other stuff. Everything's been getting expensive. So I replied and told the IRS, I'm on assistance. I can't afford this $25. And it says on there that I could waive it if I'm on assistance. So I sent that in and I got a reply letter back finally not too long ago, just recently, that the judge waived this $25 fee. But in the meantime, I got a letter from the IRS saying that they took $90 out of my tax refund for this court-appointed attorney fee. And they claim that they never got the letter that the judge waived it. So now I'm getting mixed messages. So that's, I guess that's why I'm getting more frustrated, because I'm trying to move on, but yet I keep getting attacked by this judge and keep getting more and more money out of me that I can't afford.
Have you had the opportunity to maybe talk to a counselor about this situation?
Yeah, I've talked to my counselor and we just keep going in circles.
Well, maybe, you should consider what your counselor is saying. You know, I, Today is the 4th of July, and I
Mhm.
got a text from a client who wants to tell me the strategy to do his case. Now, my client, he's not a lawyer. He's never done one single case ever. He has a complicated case. He asked me what my strategy was. I said it's ABC. You know what he told me? He says, I don't want you to do ABC. I want you to do XYZ. Don't be
Hmm.
that person. Don't be that person. You know, when people hire me, I'm trying to win. I use 37 years of experience, all my knowledge, my skill as a lawyer, as a trial lawyer. I come up with some pretty good strategies. You may not agree with them because you don't have 37 years of experience. So
Right.
if you want to hire, I don't have a magic wand. I got to work. I got to come up with strategies to win your case. But those are things that I'm not sure that you know. And that's why I'm suggesting that you go talk to a lawyer and you talk to
Okay.
someone that will give you information that if you can't hire that lawyer that you can use, right, to try to implement yourself. But based upon everything that you've told me, and I haven't reviewed your file, what I might tell you is what people have already told you. Cut it loose because you're not. It's
And
not
I'm
making
assuming
you
it's past the statute of limitations too,
right.
right?
Right. I mean, I don't know what the statute of limitations is in your state, Minnesota, but if you're in California, your statute would be gone, be over. So now your kids are not in the system; they're alive and adults. It's time for Melanie to take care of Melanie and cut that guy that used to be married with. Cut him loose. He's done. He doesn't need to occupy any more of your time, energy, or thoughts. I'm sure there's many things in the world or in life that you might be interested in. Focus on those. You know, if you want to help reform CPS, let us know. We'll put you to, work and trying to solve an injustice that still goes on. We're
Hmm.
looking for a team captain from Minnesota to help organize voting, help organize all the poor parents that are being taken advantage of by CPS in Minnesota. You know, focus on that one. I love that one. Of course, it's my idea, right? But
Hmm.
as far as your ex is concerned, he's done. You're done with him. Let it go. Let it go. Focus on yourself. Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions you wanted to ask me this evening?
Nope. Not really. No, I'm trying to move on, but it's hard because like the money that I'm trying to let my ex go, but it's hard when he violated so many court orders and I could use the money that he still owes me because I've been struggling big time because of all this and he lied through his teeth about his finances and it's hard on
Melanie,
me to live the way I
Melanie,
am.
Melanie, you know what the best revenge is? The best revenge is success.
Hmm.
Become a success in whatever you choose that's separate and apart from him. And then he'll be sorry.
Hmm.
Become your own
God
success.
knows what's right.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. You let
Right.
God and karma deal with it. I said that a few minutes ago, right?
Right.
Focus on yourself. You got things to do. This week I turned 65,
No, I was.
and there are still things that I'm trying to focus on to be successful at and to help people. All right. So I'm looking at you. You're not 65. So you got a lot more time than me. Start focusing on those things. Cut this judge, your ex-husband. That's old stuff. Put it behind you. Move on. Okay? Pick a new interest, a new
Okay.
career, new idea. Okay?
Yes,
Hey,
sir.
Melanie, I want to thank you for being on the show this evening, coming on and sharing your story. Um, I do appreciate it. Keep in touch, and I'm going to have my producer, Grace, call you or email you and try to see if you're interested in helping us in our nationwide movement to reform CPS by voting. Okay? All
Okay.
righty. Thank you, Melanie. Good night.
Wow,
All right, Mr. Guy, Mr. G.
Mr. D. I keep
Hold on
trying
a
to.
second.
Yeah, I keep trying to find this guy's name. This whole time I've been looking. I know I can see his picture. I can see who he is. I,
The guy
I
from
keep.
Minnesota?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, today's a holiday,
Hmm.
so I'm gonna end the show a little bit early.
Hmm.
Before we go, did you have any questions or comments you wanted to ask me?
No, you know what? The thing that keeps coming up and you keep talking about is the strategy thing. And the strategy that like, do you have a general synopsis of what your strategies are as far as like when you go into a situation, you say A, B, and C is usually what you'll look for first. Just for people to
N-
understand, like when you always talk strategy, how you.
Not true. Not true.
Okay.
Here. Let me tell you this. Every CPS case is different.
Hmm.
They have one common denominator: CPS took your child.
Right.
But the facts and the story is always different.
Right.
That means generally, the defenses are going to be different. The strategy is going to be different. Every case has different witnesses. right? In some
Yeah.
cases, the kid's 5 years old. In some cases, the kid's 15 years old.
Mhm.
Big difference, right?
Right.
In some cases, police witnessed something. In some cases, they didn't witness something
Mm-hmm.
or didn't witness anything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's generally always different. But here's the easy way to do it: you get a copy of the allegations, okay? In California, they call it the 300 petition, the Welfare and Institutions Code, Section 300 petition. In Maine, where you are, I'm sure they have another name for it, but it's all the same. It's
Right.
allegations that are being made against you to keep your child away from you.
Correct.
And what I do is I start line by line and I ask my client to tell me which sentence in each of the allegations is true, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and which sentences are false. And then once I have that information, I ask them, give me all of the names of the people that could testify to that sentence being false. Sometimes it's just the parent, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's like the parent plus 10 other people.
Okay.
And then I ask them for each one that's false, is there a piece of paper, a document, or a video or photograph that helps prove that that allegation is false? Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
then you can start to build and implement a strategy. Do you
Okay.
see that what I'm saying?
Yes, sure, I
See,
do.
the allegations against you and the allegations against Melanie, they're completely different.
Right.
So the strategy would be completely different. And then on top of all of that, I have to consider each particular parent that I represent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Melanie may have different challenges than you,
Mm-hmm.
or vice versa. And that's going to affect the strategy. So there's not just one general strategy, but look, before you put a fence around the problem and the strategy, what's true and what isn't true? You'd be surprised. Sometimes tell me, you know, if there's an allegation against the parent and the parent tells me, "Oh, that's true, Mr. Davis."
Mm-hmm.
No need for me to try to prove it to be false.
Right. Saves
Right.
time for you.
Right. No, well, it saves time for them.
Right.
Because judges don't like people that come and lie to them. They
Right.
just don't like it. So here,
Correct.
let me give you a classic example. They took the kid away from the mother at birth because the kid and the mother tested positive for meth or cocaine or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So in our confidential communications, I asked my client, is this allegation true? Is the drug use true?
Right.
Now, if she says yes, there's a whole different strategy that goes this way.
Right.
If she says no, there's a whole different strategy that goes this way, and I have to
Mm-hmm.
call, attorney Okori Okorocha,
Right.
right? But I don't need to call OO
Right.
if the
We're
client
going
tells
this.
me, well, it is true, Mr. Davis.
Right. Yep.
So what I've done in the past, and because of the timing, it sometimes doesn't work as well as it used to. But what you would want to do in that case is you might want to plead the client out to the drug allegation, but focus on the disposition. Get your
Mm-hmm.
client in drug counseling, drug testing, and when you go back to court for the trial, you got 20 clean drug tests.
Right.
At that point, it becomes very difficult for the social worker to prove that you are a substantial danger. The
Mm-hmm.
allegation was true. You were using illegal drugs,
Right.
and there's a risk of you taking care of the child. But to win the disposition, they have to prove that even if it's true, that you're a substantial danger. If you got 20 clean drug tests, how are they going to prove that you're a substantial danger?
Right.
You've admitted the problem. You're in a program. You're testing clean.
Right.
Problem solved.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not asking the judge to drop the case. I'm
Right.
asking the judge to give you the child back and continue it for 6 months to see how you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You
So
get it?
I do.
Now,
That's how you work.
now, if you tell me, oh no, that was false, I didn't use drugs, then I got to call Mr. OO and figure out what's going on with these drug tests. That takes
Hmm.
me down a whole different road.
Right.
And those are just drug allegations. We're going to have physical abuse allegations. We're going to have domestic violence allegations. We're going to have sexual abuse allegations. We're going to have emotional abuse allegations. Each of those topics have different scenarios under each. And each scenario, depending on whether it's true or false, has different strategies. You see, so
Hmm.
there's not one general strategy.
Right. Well, no, that was what I was kind of getting at. I wanted you to maybe explain because people, I think, they think or assume that there's just a simple ABC that you go down the road. Where I see, like when you talk about, I've read your books, like I see there's so many components to it that there's not just a. I think that's what people when they come on and they ask you in the show that they're looking for. I see the disappointment sometimes in their face because they just want an ABC answer from you and you don't give it
Right.
to them.
Right. Because
So
I can't.
right,
I mean,
yeah, right, exactly.
es-
So
especially when I haven't reviewed the file.
right.
You know, if you want me to give a strategy for when I haven't reviewed the file, you might as well ask me, who's going to win the World Series next year. I don't know.
Right. Yep. So,
Alrighty, sir.
all right, Mr. D. Well, you go
Well,
get some fireworks.
thank you for coming on this evening on this holiday weekend or holiday. And I will see you and everyone tomorrow at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Alrighty?
Well, sounds
Good
good.
night.
Good night, all.